Hey there! Let me tell you about a magical day I spent with little Rochelle, a bright-eyed 4-year-old from Jamaica. Her smile could light up any room, and her imagination. Well, that's what made this particular afternoon absolutely unforgettable. It was one of those perfect days. You know, the kind where the sun plays peekaboo through fluffy clouds, and the air feels like it's sprinkled with possibilities. Rochelle was wearing her favorite yellow dress, the one with tiny flowers that made her look like she'd just stepped out of a storybook. "Look," she whispered, tugging at my sleeve. I saw them. Her eyes were wide with wonder as she pointed to a corner of the garden where the flowers swayed gently in the breeze. According to Rochelle, that's where the fairies lived, right between the purple petunias and the climbing roses. We spent hours watching butterflies dance through the air, and Rochelle was convinced they were the fairies' special messengers. Every time a butterfly would flutter past, she'd cup her hands around her mouth and whisper secret messages, hoping they'd carry her words to the fairy kingdom. We made fairy houses out of twigs and leaves, carefully placing tiny acorn caps as bowls for honey. Because everyone knows fairies love sweet things, right? Rochelle insisted on adding little pebble pathways leading to each house, so the fairies don't get their feet dirty when it rains. She explained with all the seriousness a 4-year-old could muster. As the afternoon wore on, the shadows grew longer, and the garden took on a golden glow. That's when Rochelle spotted something truly special, a circle of mushrooms in the grass. Her grandmother had told her about fairy rings, and here was one right in our garden. She carefully tiptoed around it, convinced that if she stepped inside, she might be whisked away to the fairy realm. We sat in the grass, making daisy chains for fairy crowns, and Rochelle told me all about the different fairies she'd seen. There was Rose, the fairy who painted the flowers, their beautiful colors, and Sparkle, who was in charge of making dewdrops shine in the morning sun. As the day drew to a close, Rochelle's eyes started getting heavy, but her smile never faded. "The fairies will watch over our garden while we sleep," she said with a yawn. And you know what? Looking at the peaceful garden as the evening settled in, with fireflies starting to twinkle like tiny lanterns, I could almost believe she was right. That day with Rochelle reminded me of something important. Sometimes, the most magical moments are the ones we create with nothing more than imagination and an open heart. In her garden, every butterfly was a fairy in disguise.